done. So that's it for the applique on our kimono doll. I will give that a press and then we will start on doing our couching. And now we're coming up to the part that we're going to do our couching on. I've already popped on my Splendor thread that was in the thread pack. So I've got the 40 weight Splendor here, and that's a nice shiny thread. Threaded on my machine. You do need to use an open toe foot that looks something like that. So you can see where the threads are laid down. So I'll pop that back on my machine. And you need to have your machine set on a zigzag, and I like to do it 4.0 wide and 1.5 long. So to do the couching, as you can see down there, I do a rough measurement, and I've done 4 strands. So I do there. So just wind off enough. Sorry, I may have, yeah, I'll cut that off because we're wanting 4 strands. And then this is just going to give us roughly that. So we start at the top. So we're starting there. Sorry, get them flat. Then when we get down to the bottom here, we'll just do a loop back up, and we'll come back up here, and these ends will be hidden away by the flower that we put on the top. So depending on where you want to start, where you want your top flower to be, I like to pop one up the top here, so that's why I'm starting there. I'll lay the threads flat, and by using the variegated thread that we can see here, it gives us some texture and colour movement through our greenery. So let's start it. So with the zigzag, it really is just making sure so that's wide enough to cover the 4 strands as we lay them down. And then it's really just up to you, but you kind of just see where the thread lays pretty much. And to make it a little interesting, so to curve a little bit there. Making sure I've got all 4 of them flat. And then I'm going to stop, and I have my needle on the left hand side. So when I pick it up, press a foot up and pivot around. Okay. Rolling out. Cushion up a little and stitch around. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. And I'll just cut that excess away there. So you can see that's just one lot of our greenery done, and so we'll do another lot again. So if you want to, you can just do enough to go halfway and come back again. We'll go probably the full length again, I think, here. And you can see on the other ones we've gone up a little bit higher here. You can try doing across the top if you want to. Really is where you get to be a little bit creative and you do what you want to do. Again. So I really like doing couching this way. It just adds this extra surface interest and texture. Stopping on the left hand side and pivoting around. Okay, so that's our greenery done there. So you can see that just adds a really nice bit of texture. And I'll chop that, cut that away there. And we'll do the other side now, because I think I'll do some up here as well. So we'll keep going and then we'll add in some of the brown afterwards. So I really enjoy doing this kind of work on the felt kits. It's really fun. I was doing something with my niece the other night. We were doing some painting actually on another one of our kits, and she kept saying, "This is really fun, this is super fun." And I thought, yeah, it is. I think she's been watching a lot of American, so we're going with the really fun and the super fun. So I really should have measured that out, but it's probably about 1 metre, close to 1 metre. Our cushion measures 45 centimetres, so we'll be looking at around, or maybe 90 centimetres that we've got in thread 4 times. And what have I got here? Okay. So I get started again. So I do like to start at the top because that's where I know I'm going to put a flower. But this time I actually think maybe I'll start down here. I won't go so high up. Make sure we've got all 4 threads under there. So I've decided I'm going to have this bit come down. Stop it there because I've decided I'm going to pop a flower there, so we'll have one there and one here. And we'll do another row again. Okay. starting here again. So that's our greenery done, and then we'll do our contrast brown trunk kind of thing. So we need to swap our thread over. And opening up our ball. And we're really just repeating the same process again. So we'll start here. So we're creating kind of like our tree trunk, or just an extra contrast colour through. One side, so I tend to just do one lot of brown colour through there. So I'll pop a flower there and I'll pop another one here. Haven't quite decided where we'll put flowers on this side yet, but that will come. It's kind of like once you get them out, then you're like, one there would be nice, or one there. So we're doing just a little bit of brown just to add. You can see by adding in the brown that it just adds some extra dimension in there. So rather than it just all green, just like brown contrast breaks it up a little. So this is where you get to be really creative with as much couching as you want. You can see it's a really quick and easy process to do, and a great way of just adding this extra texture to what we're doing. Okay, so that's it. That's our couching done. So you can see that was quite quick and really is quite free form, so you just do it wherever you like. And the next step that we need to do is to work out, we do our placement of our flowers, and then we'll come back and stitch those on. So we're going to move over to the ironing board again so we can place our flowers on and iron them on. So we'll head there now. Okay, so I'm back here ready to place the flowers, but just before I do that, just wanted to show you some effects that you can do with the couching. So these are some other things that I've couched, and you can see you can really have a lot of fun with what you do with it. You can make it more patterned, or you can certainly do lots of random. So couching really is lots of fun on the felt. So then back to our doll. And in the pattern there are the flower shapes there. I've used the medium and the small flowers, and so make sure you trace those off with your fusible web and then iron on to the pieces of fabric that are in your kit. So I've already prepared these ones, I've got them already cut out, and I've decided that this is where I want to place them. I won't lift it up, so I'm going to score the back. As I mentioned earlier, it's best to iron and leave your fused pieces to dry before you start to score them off, because otherwise you get part of it will come away. Now I'm just going to press these ones, and when I'm at this stage I do like to use some baking paper just over the top and fuse these down. When I'm pressing at the end as well, I like to use a bit of baking paper over the top of everything. So we kind of need to use a slightly warmer iron now. Get those done, and then just move over to these ones, and again, you can kind of play with where you want the petals to be a little bit. Okay, all fused on, and now we go back to our machine. We're going to do a triple stitch around each of these petals, and then we'll come back and we'll do our flower centers later. So over to the machine we go. And I have the pink thread. I've started to rethread again. And like I said, we're going to do our triple stitch, so I change that. And I'm leaving the open toe foot on here because I want to see where I'm going. So, and what I do is I start part of the way down, and I'll stitch around and around and back into the center, and then back out again. So we're forming our petal. And I'll keep going all the way around on each one. So starting here. It is the triple stitch. You can just work out where your needle's going to end up. I like the triple stitch just because it gives that little bit of extra texture there as well. first flower done. There. So that's our first flower stitched down. We will come back and do some more stitching with our yellow thread in here later. So we'll just keep moving on with creating our flowers. You can see though, by adding this extra stitching around, just the extra dimension that it gives when you see it just flat. I said you may have some other stitches on your machine that you prefer to use. That's entirely up to you. You make it however you would like to make it. I'm showing you the ones that I like to use. But our slogan for Aster Anne is that our kits are designed by us, but they're made by you, so you put your own personal stamp on them. You make them how you want them to be. And I love seeing what people do with them as well. So once you've done, please send me a photo or tag us in social media, because I'd love to see what your creations are like. Done. So that's all of our flowers done there. So the next thing we're going to do is add in some yellow stamens. So still using our triple stitch. Try saying that really fast. We're just going to add in some, probably 3 little lines on each one. And that just gives it more, again, some more dimension before we add on our circles. So I'll change our thread to be the yellow. Right, I guess I'll start right here because that's where I am. And this really is just doing it all kind of freehand. So it doesn't matter what it looks like in the very center, because that will be covered over by our circle. Triple stitch, into the center and just work our way around to the next petal. Okay, that's our first flower center there, or stamens, and we will cover that over. So that's all done with the triple stitch. You can just do single stitch as well, so maybe this next one I'll just do a single stitch so you can see the difference. And it's entirely up to you whether you do a single stitch or a triple stitch. It is of course faster if you're just doing just a single stitch. But not quite Okay, so that's our second flower stamens done, and you can see the difference there. The triple stitch gives you a more dense effect, but the single stitch looks equally as effective, so that's entirely up to you which way you go. I think I will do a triple stitch here again just to match up, because this is the same background. So we'll continue on back to triple stitch, and away we go. Okay, there we have our last center, our last statement, and the next thing we need to do is now have our circles and fuse those on, and then we'll stitch around those as well. So we'll head over to the ironing board and get that done. So back over here. So in the pattern there are two sizes of the centres. So there's a large and a small. So we know the process again. Large there, and I still need to cut a couple of these out. And on the machine, still with our yellow thread, we will just stitch around each of the circles. I am just going to use just a U. What will I do this time? This one I will continue to do, no actually this one I'm just going to do just the regular stitch, so we'll stitch around it, and maybe on the ones where I haven't done the triple stitch I might do the triple stitch in the middle just to mix it up a little bit. So just easing around. Now you could, if you wanted to, just keep on stitching around and around and around in the circle. That would be kind of cool too. Like a snail. So well, maybe you could just keep going around and around if you wanted to. Do this one. So this is a good one where you can see the difference between the triple stitch and just the single stitch. So if you see there, the triple stitch, it looks like you've actually gone around it 3 times, and that's the single stitch there. But this is where you can get creative as well. I know when I did my original ones, I thought, oh, maybe some crystals in the center could be fun. But you could do, you know, different things. You could do blanket stitch if you want to. It's really where you get creative. And don't forget, if you wanted to do some special stitching, a decorative stitch on here, I think that would look awesome, and also along the hem there. So we'll just finish these last 2 circles. Okay, and there we have it. That is our applique done. So the next thing I would do, or I will do, is give it all a good press. There we have our kimono doll, all completed.